Welcome back. We are in the second continental encounter of original sounds, and right now we are going to have an interview with Nina Caille. She comes from Ontario, Canada, and she is in the Enhancing and Healing Lodge and Learning Center. Welcome to Mexico.
Thank you very much.
First of all, how do you see this encounter? What can you tell us about this?
It's very empowering to be in a gathering of all the people from the continent of the Americas. It gives us great hope to see the people coming together and to speaking a common vision and to having sharing those things that we believe and the teachings that we carry.
What do you think is this common vision? What do you refer?
The theme of this conference is about language and the preservation of the indigenous languages, but the language is only a piece of who we are, but it's a very important piece. And so we share that common goal of preserving our languages and preserving the cultures, the ancient wisdom of our people, and that I think is what we share together. Also, we look into the future. For those 7 generations that will come, we need to be caring for those ones who come after us. By uniting our people and the indigenous people of the Americas, we have a stronger voice and a stronger prayer for the world.
Okay. Can you share us something about your center?
Yes, Inautic Healing Lodge is in central Ontario in Canada. It's about 2 hours north of Toronto, the city of Toronto. It's been in operation for about 12 years now. We had a vision in our community, a wish to have a place for the people to come and to heal and to preserve their culture and their traditions. And it was very lacking in our communities. There were no ceremonies in the area. Very few people spoke the language, and we're losing our culture from the assimilation and colonization in our country.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other part of that is that's the learning part. The healing part is that the Canadian experience for Indigenous people is for about 4 generations, all our children were taken away from their families and put into institutions, into residential schools. And in those schools, they were forbidden to speak their language. They suffered a lot of abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse,
Yes,
and sexual abuse. These schools were run by the government and the church, and it disenfranchised our people. The children were taken away. There was much sadness in the communities, in the pueblos of our people, because the children were gone.
Yes.
The children were in those schools until they were 16 years old. They would take them at 5 years old and bring them back. Excuse me.
10 years later.
So 10 years later, so they have no language. If they spoke their language, they were beaten. That's the history of Canada and our people, and so we have many generations of this terrible abuse and great loss.
I'm sorry, what's the name of the culture?
This is from across all our nations.
Yes.
My nation, I'm from the Seneca Nation of the Iroquois people, but that went across all the nations of Indigenous people in Canada.
Okay.
So whether they were Ojibwe, Cree, it was a government policy. All the children were taken.
Okay.
I think the government believed if they could take our children away when they were young and assimilate them, they could make them white, and make them European in the way they think and how they see the world, but that didn't work. And to the testament of our people and the strength of our people, they're returning to our culture. For many years, the government has tried to find ways to correct that, correct that injustice for the people, but their solutions were not our solutions. Their answers weren't our answers. It wasn't until we took control of our own healing that we began to see the people change. As a result of those generations in school, we had many people who had alcoholism, drug abuse, there was family violence,
Of course.
and the communities were broken.
They don't belong anywhere.
They don't belong anywhere, they don't know who they are, and when they come home, they can't relate. And the old people and the parents had no one to raise, so it broke the whole community.
So in this center you work with that kind of...
In this center we bring people who are still struggling with the trauma from the abuse, sexual abuse and physical abuse, to help them heal what happened to them as children, and to break that cycle of abuse so that they don't perpetuate that to their children. So we work with individuals, but we also bring in the whole family and work with the families together to become more healthier families. And the way that we found works best with our people to do that healing is to take them back to their culture, back to their roots, to understand the ceremonies, the language, and the great teachings that have come from our old people. That is what has been the healing for our nation.
What a great work. To get in contact with you, can you give me some email?
I can. You don't think you'll be able to say it, but it's Enatig. It's ENAAHTIG at Enatig again .ca, and that's our main website, our main email. We also have a website, www.enatig.ca. You could go to our website anytime.
Thank you very much for this interview.
You're welcome.
Bye.